The 2021 quarterback class is not good. It's time we finally kind of come to grips with that. And I know it definitely seems too early to be judging this, but I'm going to tell you in this video exactly why it's not too early to be judging this. I'm going to go through each one of these guys, give my thoughts on how they've done so far in their careers and if they have a chance in the future. And spoiler alert, it's not very positive.
Yeah, I don't wanna roll. Yeah, I don't wanna scrap. Yeah, baby, hit me up. Yeah, baby, hit me back. Yeah.
I know it's really hard to understand that not all quarterbacks work out, but not all quarterbacks work out. Actually, first round quarterbacks specifically have a severely low hit rate. But every time we get into a draft class, there's just a bunch of guys that we fall in love with and we just assume that they're automatically going to make it. And then a few years down the road, we realize that, yeah, they're just not going to cut it. And it happens. Like, I think scouting is overrated. It's kind of a myth. There's just too many factors to really identify, like, who's good, who's not good. So that's why we have to adjust our thoughts when things go into the NFL. And too many people hold on to these, half-baked scouting analyses that they make, and they just completely ignore poor play from quarterbacks. So I want to start here with Trevor Lawrence, just go to the top guy. So this was a generational can't-miss prospect from this class, one of the most hyped-up draft prospects that I can remember, probably since Andrew Luck. And he was supposed to be pretty much an automatic hit and guaranteed superstar. And let's just say he has not lived up to the bill so far, but a lot of people have hope, and they have hope because this year his numbers have significantly improved, and I think Doug Peterson has done a great job developing him. This is wrong. This is incorrect. What Doug Peterson has done a great job in is masking every deficiency that Trevor Lawrence may have had. Doug doesn't really give a shit about developing Trevor Lawrence. He's just using Trevor Lawrence to win as many games as he possibly can. So the Jacksonville offense is very simplified, very quarterback friendly. There's a lot of motion involved to confuse defenses. There's a lot of guys that are schemed open automatically. There's a lot of opportunities for yak. And because of this, Lawrence's numbers have improved significantly. But if you look a little beyond the numbers, you look at it hasn't been nearly as impressive as a lot of people want you to think. I've had some people say he's already a top 10 quarterback. I will be honest, he is not close to that. Like I said, he is benefiting significantly from the coaching situation and the offense being simplified for him. And this can be seen pretty easily with his deep ball statistics. He is bottom 10 in intended air yards. He is bottom 5 in completed air yards. He has only completed 6 passes over 20 air yards on the season. He's one of the lowest deep ball completion percentages in the entire league. I'll give him some slack. His supporting cast is not great. This could definitely affect those type of numbers, but it's also Lawrence that has been significantly more focused on the underneath stuff and making really simple one-read plays and finding schemed open players. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm glad that he took this step in his journey, but for people saying he's already top 10, those people are literally just praying and hoping that he is. Doug Peterson's game plan is very simple. It's to make do with what he's got and try to win as many games as possible. He's not really worried about Trevor Lawrence developing as a passer as of yet. He's just trying to win games. Can't really fault him for that. But I'm also not going to blindly fall for Trevor Lawrence's numbers. If receivers are being schemed open, I'm going to just call it out and say they're being schemed open. And that's literally exactly what's happening in Trevor Lawrence's case. Now, again, I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is trash or he's bad. Out of all the 2021 QBs, spoiler alert, he's the only guy that I think is going to actually turn out to be a franchise quarterback. But I don't think he's going to be the top tier elite generational prospect that a lot of people pinned him as. I don't think he's going to carry this franchise from nothing to something all on his own like Andrew Luck was able to do. He's just going to be a normal franchise caliber starting quarterback, and he's going to need a lot of help around him and good coaching to actually be successful. And he still has a lot to develop from a processing standpoint, which if he doesn't develop from a processing standpoint, he will bust. And it's crazy to think that. It's crazy to think Trevor Lawrence has a possibility of busting, but that is a reality. Now, my prediction is he does not bust. My prediction is he becomes like an above-average starting type franchise quarterback that they're going to pay. They're going to sign long-term. People are going to have a lot of hope for him. He's probably going to miss on a lot of people's expectations like he has for the past 2 years pretty much. And again, it's not completely doom or gloom for him. This is just my thoughts based on what I've seen, based on what he has shown on the field. And again, I think he is in the best shape out of any of the rest of these guys. Number 2, we'll go second overall pick, Zach Wilson. Zach was the worst quarterback in football last year. It wasn't really a debate. He was the worst guy out there. Again, the Jets are young. He's in a bad situation. They're learning a lot, but he has severe accuracy issues, which I'm personally worried about. He didn't really show any sort of promise as far as reading the field or going through progressions. Pretty much the only thing you can hold your hat on is a couple times he made some nice off-script, off-schedule plays or a couple deep wild throws that a lot of people are going to fall in love with, but I really don't give a shit about that. We know he can do that. We all saw him at BYU. We know he can do that. I don't care if he does it at the next level. I want to see him actually work within a structure, have success within a structure, have some sort of consistent accuracy, not overthrowing random guys or having poor mechanics from play to play. I wanted to have some sort of consistent success within structure. So again, until he does that, I'm not going to believe he will ever be able to do it. He didn't really do it that well at BYU. He was just the benefit of a lot better team and supporting cast that was around him than in the defenses that he played. And now that he's kind of on his own, it's pretty obvious that he is struggling to adapt to this next level, and a lot of the deficiencies that he had back in college that were masked by having a better team are being pushed to the forefront. I'm not going to give up on Zach Wilson, but if I had to predict, I predict that he is not going to be a franchise quarterback. Part of that does have to do with him being in the Jets organization, and they have just consistently failed to develop guys in that organization. This could be different, but it's really a rough start for Zach. I just don't see how he's going to clean up all his accuracy issues. I don't see how he's going to clean up his horrible decision-making that comes and goes. I don't see how he's going to clean up all his mechanics. He's going to have to take a major leap just to even get into that, okay, I'm a franchise quarterback type situation. So rough start for Zach and his career. I honestly would just be giving up if I'm the Jets and if he doesn't improve this season. Third overall, we got Trey Lance. Of course, I want to put a disclaimer that I'm very upset that Trey Lance got hurt. I hate when players get hurt, especially young guys like Trey Lance that have a lot to prove and have a lot on the line coming into the season. It's a shame that he gets hurt. I hope he recovers well and could come back next year. Now, having said that, it is just crazy the lack of football that this man has played in the past few years. He played one season at North Dakota State, so he has one season of FCS level competition. Then he sat out a year, and then he got drafted, sat out most of the year, played a couple games, but sat behind Jimmy G. Then this year he's supposed to take over the starting role, and he gets hurt very early in the season. So the past 3 years, he has just barely played football, and that's the biggest thing that he needs. He needs reps. He has no experience at this level. He has just the 1 year at FCS level. That's like a majority of his experience, and he is going to miss this entire season because of an injury. So again, you hate to see that, but coming into his third year, he's still one of the rawest prospects out there. Now he's getting older, you're getting closer to that 5th year mark, and you still have no clue if he's the guy or not. He's still getting outplayed by, just a very, very mediocre quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. And people prop him up. It's very similar to the Zach Wilson situation, even Trevor Lawrence to an extent, where they prop up a few wild type throws or wild type runs or plays like that. And they're like, oh, this is it. This is going to be the guy because of this one play. It's like, no, we want to see him succeed in structure. And San Francisco, under Kyle Shanahan, has one of the best quarterback-friendly structures that I can think of. It doesn't really get any better than being a quarterback in San Francisco with you got an offensive genius like Shanahan, the run game, you got Deebo Samuel, you got Brandon Ayuk, you got George Kittle, you got weapons, you got an O-line, you got everything that you could need to succeed, and he has not shown the ability to succeed, and he has not shown the ability to even just stay on the field. So honestly, this just feels like it's kind of a bad luck type situation for Trey Lance with some of the injuries, and then also just him not being able to develop enough even in a situation that's extremely quarterback friendly. It's another one. I think Lance is going to be a bust. I don't think this is going to work out for the Niners. I understand why they took the risk. You can't really hold your hat on Jimmy G and just get to the NFC Championship and just watch him fold. I understand that. Again, who knows is just my opinion. What do I know? But again, it looks like Lance is still really, really far away from being successful. And it's just kind of concerning at this point in his career how little he has progressed. Okay, and then moving on to Justin Fields. Justin Fields is the worst quarterback this year. Zach Wilson missed a few games in the beginning, but even he looked a little better when he came in. Justin Fields looks worse than last year, which is really hard to wrap your head around. And I was fully prepared to be pretty nice with Justin Fields because he was supposed to be in this dreadful situation. And if you just name like players, he is in this dreadful situation, right? He doesn't really have any weapons. The O-line's kind of a mess, right? But what's surprising is that he has like one of the longest average time to pass in the NFL. His receivers generate some of the most separation in the entire NFL. Yet his off-target percentage is one of the highest in the NFL. He honestly struggles to complete more than 10 balls a game. He's missing wide open receivers. Even when he has plenty of time in the pocket, he'll bail and just use his legs. It's just not great watching Justin Fields play quarterback right now, and combination maybe he just doesn't trust his guys, doesn't trust his O-line, doesn't trust his coaching. There's a lot of things that you can put a blame on, but there's also a lot of things that you can just blame Fields directly, and the fact that he is this far behind, like extremely far behind in already his second year, in a situation that's been actually beneficial. Like his team is winning games behind the run game. He's not having to do really anything for the team to have some sort of success on offense. And yet he's literally been the worst quarterback in the National Football League this year in a situation that, like I said, is not nearly as bad as a lot of people anticipated. So this has made me really, really be against Fields this year as far as can he actually put it together ever? I don't think he will. In fact, if I had to pick the most likely bust out of this group, I would pick Justin Fields. And moving on to Mac Jones, he was the media darling last year, was in the running for Rookie of the Year. Honestly, he was okay last year. I'm not going to really knock his rookie year. I think he did pretty well, despite not having the best weapons out there. I was worried about him this year, not going to lie, considering that Matt Patricia was calling plays. That seems like a disaster. His best receiver out there was Devontae Parker, who gets some of the least amount of separation in the entire league. Pretty much everything about Mac's situation was going to get significantly worse, and that's played out exactly how it is. I think it's very interesting to see going forward. It's hard for me to really pin down if Mac's going to completely bust or not. If they do put him in a more favorable situation, if they do build the pieces around him successfully, I think he can be all right. And I think he can be like an okay middle of the tier franchise type quarterback for the Patriots. The issue is that they've just surrounded him with garbage since he got into the league, and I'm not making any extra excuses for Mac Jones. Like, I thought he was one of the most overrated quarterbacks in football last year, but we did at least see him have some success. Some of the other guys we have seen no success. And it's just tough to completely write him off considering like how shit his situation is, but I don't even know if it's going to be fixed. I feel like Belichick is an horrible team builder. I feel like he's too arrogant to actually make realistic changes and bring in like actual offensive minded coaches to like help your young quarterback. Like, he actively decided to just let Matt Patricia, who's a defensive coordinator, call the plays, and the offense has been embarrassing. Everyone can tell you that. So again, I don't want to put everything here on Mac. I don't want to completely write him off. If this situation stays the same or similar, Mac's going to bust. But he needs a lot of help around him, and he could succeed. But the way things are right now, the way things are trending, Mac's going to bust. And then lastly, I just want to talk about Davis Mills a little bit. Mills, I really liked to watch last year. He was kind of entertaining. He had these flashes of kind of brilliance, and then things that, he needed to work on, some throwing short of the sticks. Some decision-making and accuracy problems, some forced balls, stuff like that. Then I thought maybe he could weed out a lot of those issues and become more consistent and maybe show himself as like maybe the franchise guy for Houston. But this year hasn't gone as well. He still shows some of those flashes, but the mistakes are there, maybe even more prevalent. I know he's not in the best situation ever, but it's also like a passable situation where he could at least show what he did last year, but I think he's personally regressed a little bit. So I don't see any reason the Texans hold on to Davis Mills at all. Like, he was kind of a fuck it pick anyway, and he just turned out to be kind of solid last year. Might as well give him another year, but they should be in the running for a quarterback. Just start from square one and develop. But yeah, Davis Mills just hasn't really taken that step. He's just going to be a career backup, in my opinion. Okay, yeah, so sorry if I pissed you off or insulted your quarterback or insulted your favorite player. Just is how it is. Like, quarterbacks fail, they bust out, especially quarterbacks in shitty situations like a lot of these guys have been in. But again, what I'm looking for is individual improvement. What I'm looking for is some sort of progression or like hope that they can actually succeed in structure. I think pretty much all these guys outside, like, the Mac, Davis Mills, lower ceiling dudes, all the guys with like a higher ceiling, they've flashed what they can do. Fields has flashed as a runner. Zach Wilson has flashes, a playmaker. Lawrence has flashes, arm talent, mobility, pocket presence, stuff like that. Lance as well has flashed his mobility and arm talent. But again, I want to see them succeed in some sort of structure, take some sort of steps forward personally before I'm like, oh, these guys can definitely do it. And for a lot of these guys, their rookie season were just so bad that it's just hard to forget. And the fact that some aren't improving yet, this is a very bad sign. I think this heralded 2021 class that was supposed to be incredibly elite, that had 5 guys drafted in the top 15, I think it's just going to be at best average and at worst kind of dreadful. So again, I think moving forward, maybe there'll be a lot of replacements this year, a lot of teams that aren't willing to wait a third year for some of these guys, but that's just my opinion. I think, as I said in the beginning of the video, it is technically early, but from what I would want to see, there's been a lot of things that really haven't come true to start this season, and a lot of guys that I think I personally and a lot of people had expectations for, those have not been met in a lot of cases. So those are just my thoughts right now. If you enjoyed this content, I'm just definitely going to try to release more NFL content, NFL draft content as that comes closer. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, just definitely hit that subscribe button because I will be putting more stuff out. But anyway, thanks for listening to this whole video. I will catch you guys later.